You are welcome to take pictures, but please stay out of the center aisle and do not block Shari's camera. Thank you all for being with us here tonight to help celebrate the graduating class of 2024. I'd like to welcome some of the people who helped get the students to this point, the faculty and staff of Columbus Torah Academy. CTA graduating class of 2024. Even on a joyous occasion like today, we connect through prayer for the safety of our brothers and sisters in Israel, the success of the IDF, and the immediate return of the hostages. I'd like to call up Ariana Eskin and Hodiah Schaffer to read a passage of Tehillim.
שיר המעלות לדוד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבט אחים גם יחד. כשמן הטוב על הראש, יורד על הזקן, זקן הארון שיורד על פי מידותיו. כטל חרמון שיורד על הררי ציון, כי שם ציווה אדוני את הברכה, חיים עד העולם.
A song of ascents of David. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers also to dwell together. As the good oil on the head runs down upon the beard of Aaron, which runs down on the mouth of his garment. As the dew of Hermon, which runs down on the mountains of Zion, for there the Lord commanded the blessing, life forever.
Please welcome our CTA Board President, Dr. Naomi Myers.
Good evening. There's a surprise. Good evening. I am so proud to stand here as the president of the CTA Board of Trustees. I am continually in awe of what our students can accomplish. People outside the school look in and say a dual curriculum is too hard. There is not enough time for the students to develop their own style. I would say to them, look at the 2024 graduating class. What an amazing group of students. They all live Jewish lives and yet are so different and unique. These are students who excel in Torah learning, both in and out of school. We have students who are accomplished in karate, writing, producing plays, and a national merit finalist. Most importantly, we have a group of students who are kind, who have good midot, and who have been mentors and role models to the other students. We have seen this repeatedly, not only in school, but outside of school, on athletic fields and at community gatherings. We should always remember and thank the faculty and staff of CTA, who not only were able to see the unique gifts these students had to offer, but were able to nurture and develop those gifts. The 2024 students are a light to the nation and an example of all that CTA has to offer. Congratulations to the graduates and their families. I am so excited to see what this class will do and will bring to the Jewish people in their own individual and unique way. On behalf of the CTA Board of Trustees, I proudly present the class of 2024.
Many questions have vexed the sages throughout human history. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? And how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? Or, got milk? Next to my photo in the yearbook appears a different question, yet no less perplexing. When did everyone decide to become an adult? To answer that age-old question, I would have to start 4 years ago, in 8th grade. Exactly 4 years ago to the day, I finished watching my freshman speech, which we budding freshmen watched on Zoom due to a global pandemic. After watching, I walked up the steps of my basement stairs as a newly christened high school student. What did I do? I began writing my graduation speech. Perhaps it was my anxiety pestering my brain to get it done. Perhaps it was my dissatisfaction with the performance I had just witnessed on the screen. Or maybe I had the best speech idea of all. I would begin by announcing how I had grappled with the weight of others' opinions. I had yearned for validation, believing it was the totality of my self-worth. I would loop through stories of resilience and perseverance, and conclude with how I learned to embrace myself. I would explain this surplus of confidence was liberating, ending in encouraging my fellow graduates to raise their caps and toast to their authentic journey on which they are about to embark. Speech finished. But something unexpected happened, which required a few revisions to that impeccable speech. That is, life. I had high expectations of my accomplishments by the day of graduation, but I hadn't yet swum the waters of high school, encountering Hebrew class, 11th grade, and college applications. I faced forced all-nighters, countless math tests, and disagreements with teachers. And so, I revised. Even if I had penned a speech at the beginning of my senior year, so much has changed. So much has drowned in the relentlessly crashing waves of high school, the years of navigating the reality that grades count, exams matter. A single mistake on your maneuverability parking test is a fail, and senioritis cannot apply to advanced placement courses. Take the day in January, when we settled into our AP Lang seats for a timed composition, the clock ticking down. 42 minutes to weave words into a coherent argument. The prompt: select a concept that you believe to be overrated and write an essay explaining your judgment. Just as I had twiddled with speech ideas, I twiddled my pen, stared at the quotes on the wall, and tried to think. Slowly, I forged my thesis that the beloved inevitability of growing up is overrated. The responsibilities of adulthood, the obligations of careers, the slavery of abiding by social norms and pressures, not to mention the loss of innocence. The themes of all the Bildungsroman novels I had read seemed to me a gift of cold. Growing up? Not for me. And yet, as I arrived at my conclusion and the time ran out, I could hear that voice in my head. I was revising again. Sure, growing up is hard, but overrated? I'm not as sure. Time and time again, I found myself editing, changing, revising. So much has revised since we began. Most of us, thankfully, had a glow up. Our friendships have transformed. We all grew. Not all of us in height, no. But personhood-wise, absolutely. Growing up, though taxing, is achieved. And achieved inevitably through hard work and resilience. As evidence of this truth, I submit the following. I grasp SOHCAHTOA. I shall always have a backup shirt, skirt, and sweater. Man, those classrooms get cold. I know that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. I balance work, school, and volleyball. I can write an essay. I am in control of my emotions. I jump right into a doc. I am steadfast in my beliefs. I can read and understand lines of code. I acknowledge that life goes on. I understand the history of the Manhattan Project. I know hair grows back. I realize that Hebrew roots can belong to multiple binyanim. Those lessons were worth the tears, the all-nighters, and the awkward teenage encounters. And that's why, even as I finished the final touch on my contrarian argument, I recognize that perhaps growing up is not overrated. It is perfectly rated. Coming of age is both high and low. Adulthood is both certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes and yet earns a 5 out of 10 on IMDb. It's like pineapple on pizza. It's a force-fed acquired taste. It's a unique blend of sweet and savory moments that contribute to the rich dish of life. As I embark on my journey outside of the corridors of CTA, the seeds of independence, growth, and wisdom that were planted by the lessons I learned here will flourish. The age-old questions will remain. We may never know for sure if the chicken or the egg came first. Yet amidst the constant that persists, much transforms. None of us decided to become an adult. And let's be real, how many of us really are? But we walked through the never-changing hallways anew, constantly revising. And we will keep altering who we are, because that's adulting, isn't it? So let us embrace revision. Let's embrace looking again. This speech was just a snapshot of my growth, a conclusion of one journey, yet a beginning to so many more. My speech may never be finished, for it's not turned in as a completion grade, rather it's an invitation to keep growing, keep changing, keep revising. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, fellow graduates. When I was thinking about my speech, I was confronted with something that I couldn't wrap my head around at first. When I was either thinking of what topic I would choose for my speech, or making a mistake, or just the public speaking aspect of it, there was a little voice in my head to try and hold me back. Couldn't realize what it was at first. Then I realized something. What I was confronting was fear. Then I questioned, what is fear? Fear is a biological and social response to threats and things we cannot control/explain. This can be caused by either trauma or the uncertainty of the future. Some fears made sense, like the fear of heights, fear of the dark, and the fear of outer space. While some fears don't make sense, like the fear of the number 8 and the fear of the color yellow. We have all faced fear, either going to a party with nobody you know, getting in a relationship, and of course, if I eat this donut, it will go to my hips. When I was 3, I was diagnosed with a condition known as idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, or its acronym, ITP. In 6th grade, the doctor said that I had to have an operation to remove my spleen. As some of you doctors may know, the spleen is one of the main controllers of the immune system. So without it, it would be like a castle with a weak wall. My mom and I heard about this. We of course experienced fear. Fear of the operation, fear of the results, fear of living with a weakened immune system. So without my spleen, my immune system is as useful as a philosophy major. This can cause simple diseases such as the common cold and the flu to be DEFCON 1 threats to me. When COVID entered the US, my mom, my doctor, and I were under immense fear I could sit. So I was placed in quarantine whenever there was a small outbreak at school. I had to learn that year at home, zooming through online classes. The good news was I could attend school in my PJs. Thankfully, since that surgery, I was not affected by a serious disease. And throughout that time, I really realized I need to focus on the present. And that is the true way to fight fear, is to focus on the present. As seniors, we are constantly planning for the future. We take AP tests, we visit and apply to colleges, we confront the reality that we will not be here next year. But the way to fight fear is to not focus on it. I know, I sound like a school psychiatrist, but if you focus on fear, then what purpose will you have in life? If you let fear control you, you'll only get more afraid of the simplest things, which can cause terrible effects on your mental health. My message to my fellow graduates who are going to college: don't avoid fear, but use it as a tool to make you into the people you will be, make you into the person you will become. As I finish my speech, I'd like to thank my mom, my grandma, my aunt, and my cousin for always helping me when I need to be helped. I'd like to thank my friends for standing by my side. My teachers who are always there to help me and deal with my shenanigans. And thank you to everyone else who has helped me along the way. Thank you and good night.
I'm going to tell you a little secret, one that I've never told anyone. I can dance. That's right, I can bust a move. I'm really good at the whip and the nae-nae, and I can do the Dougie. I'm never off beat to any Bruno Mars song, and of course, I can shimmy. I started dancing at 3 and abruptly quit at 9. I was insecure and let my lack of self-esteem stop me from accomplishing a dream. Why did I lack self-confidence? Why did I let my self-doubt sabotage experiences and opportunities that I desired? These are 2 questions that I have thought of since. I think all of us can say that there have been moments in our lives where we have passed up chances that could possibly change our life. Whether that's a job opportunity, or the chance to get on America's Got Talent, or friendships, we all have a choice we never took, that we regret not pursuing because we were scared of the risk, and scared of what people will think. Fear and self-doubt were the 2 major reasons for why I missed out on an opportunity of a lifetime. A month before graduating from 8th grade, I attended my sister, Talia's, first dance recital. Watching her dance with the biggest smile on her face made me realize how much I wished I could be on that stage. So I made a promise to myself going into high school that the next time an opportunity presents itself, even if I'm scared, even if my insecurity is telling me to turn back and run the other way, that I would break the cycle of running and take the challenge head on. Then, this past November, in walked Mrs. Hartsagi to the library. She asked me if I would like to speak at the annual gala. Absolutely not, I thought. But what came out after a nanosecond hesitation? Sure, I said. What could go wrong? I had never spoken at any type of event before, let alone at a gala with very important people looking at me and judging my every move. Mrs. Hartsagi said that I could back out if I wanted to. I questioned my ability to give a speech, and I questioned whether I had anything inspiring to say. My mother sat me down and explained to me that I had been given an opportunity to be out of my comfort zone and grow. I internalized her words and decided to go all in. At the end of my speech, I walked off the stage and felt genuinely confident. I realized at that moment that the feeling of being confident doesn't need to be genuine for a person to do something brave or out of their comfort zone. It can be artificial. But for me, as I walked off the stage surrounded by all the applause, my confidence transformed from being external to being internal. Even with this newly gained confidence, there was a deeper fear lurking within me. I am now going off on my own and not knowing what I'll face. In times like these, where that fear is visibly present, I'm paralyzed. In those times where I find it hard to say goodbye to the place that nourished me, held my hand, and encouraged me all the way up until this point. This is the moment where my hand gets let go and I'm walking on my own. In this next chapter, we will be forced to face personal challenges. Just remember that taking the risk is better than living with a what if. So too, when I face an obstacle, I will remember the comforting words from my teachers, the encouragement from my family, and the support from my friends, knowing how much easier it was for me to get up here tonight compared to how I felt back in December at the gala. I know now that if I keep challenging myself, the self-doubt will become quieter, and I won't have to ask myself ever again, what if? Thank you, and congratulations to the class of 2024.
The strings, all six, sit silently in my room, awaiting my mind, my heart, and yes, my fingers. At the top, the low E, followed by the G, D, A, and at the bottom, the high E4. Each string sits with so much potential. As I faced the idea of graduating and standing here before you, I tended not to think too much about it, but gravitated towards my guitar. Taylor Mini, mahogany wood-bodied. Maybe I was just procrastinating, but I considered its sound, its melodies, its off-key notes, and in my final year, I decided to pick up the guitar and delved into a new art of making music. Instead of writing, it was music that kept calling me. It kept reeling me in to play just one more song. I took that call as a sign. Before I play my guitar, I tune it. Listening for that perfect pitch, the perfect tone. Tuning the guitar ensures it produces harmonious sounds. Tuning is the preparation before the real fun of playing begins. Like tuning, high school is the time to find your rhythm and balance. Fine-tune your skills and interests to harmonize with your goals and aspirations. One Friday, I pressed down, feeling the copper strings indent into my cushioned finger pads, producing different notes and chords. Soon, there is a progression, a repeatable rhythm and melody. As my left hand frets the strings, my right hand flows up and down, brushing the 6 still strings, creating a pattern of vibration and movement. Emotions in high school fluctuate up and down, following the patterns of high stress of finals week to the free feeling of a new semester with no burden of late work to turn in. The sound, the music, it's pleasing to the ear. You want the song to keep going. It's soothing to the mind. It's calming your soul. Comforting. Familiar. I have my friends, connections for a lifetime. 10 of them are sitting right behind me. They soothe my mind and my heart, and yes, I love them. I know these connections with my friends and teachers are to last a lifetime. The knowledge brings me comfort. Practice makes perfect. Learning to play the guitar requires consistent practice to improve. In high school, I had consistent effort and dedication to my studies and extracurricular activities that led to my academic and personal growth. Then come the words, the lyrics that give new meaning to the sound. Words are a physical expression of the mind's internal emotion. As I navigated different subjects, Hebrew, math, and activities, student council, yearbook, some classes were simple, like a 4-chord pop song. Some were a little more emotional, like a country breakup song. I grabbed my pen, started to write the lyrics. My mind runs as the ink slowly seeps out, filling the page with beautifully crafted words. First verse, pre-chorus, chorus, second verse. The song is almost over. Here are some of the lyrics to my first song I wrote that express my fear but excitement about the next chapter of my life. Take a breath, you'll be fine. I'll find my way through it. Leap of faith, sword in hand. I know I need to do it. From AP Link's persuasive essays to standing my ground politically in Israel advocacy, I learned how to communicate. I learned to craft my words and express myself. Language is the path to connection. The song is complete. I don't want it to end. It's just so good. But I'm a senior, standing here at my high school graduation. The song has to end. The track was amazing, and I can still listen to it, but it won't be the same as writing it. I may be done with high school and the song, but there's always a new tune to play, another chorus to make up, and song to write. Thank you.
The gym is dark. As I walk onto the stage, everyone else walks off. I am left alone with the silence for only a second before the gym echoes with roars from my counseling training campers and friends. Sweat beads drip down my face as I wait for the noise to die down, ready to start my solo as Mr. Cellophane from the musical Chicago, all while trying to remember the song in Hebrew. Somehow I finish the song strong, my vibrato without cracks, and running off the stage, preparing for my next scene. Among the cacophony of sounds that marked my high school career, that cheer will always be my favorite. Standing there on stage, the lights dim, and the spotlight singled on me, I can feel my heart beating so fast as if it's trying to jump out of my chest. I stare off into the crowd, try not to make eye contact with one specific person. I look at the camera in the way back of the gym, knowing my mom is watching me live. That rush, that feeling I get, is the best feeling in the world. Camp Vermont, Wisconsin, those hallowed grounds where friendships blossomed, campfires crackled, and dreams took flight. Writing transliterations for my fellow castmates and singing along to our musicals' English versions became the soundtrack of my summers. And that gymnasium, with its polished floors and walls echoing with youthful elation, witnessed our growth. But as the final curtain fell, reality set in. The stage was no longer mine, the spotlight dimmed. I returned home, my heart still racing, but now with a question. Was this the end? You see, we actors, painters, dreamers, the ones who don't fit neatly into the boxes of achievement, we crave a canvas beyond the lab or whiteboard, beyond a field or court. I came home after the summer, excited for what was waiting for me at school, but also worried that I would lose my creative outlet. There was no theater program at CTA, and art class was the last class of the day. Still, despite immense challenges, I kept my passion for creating alive. That applause still burning in my ears. I started to work on props and costumes for the lower school's production of Alice in Wonderland. I became excited again. Excited that there were little dreamers who wanted just as much as I did to be on that stage. Study halls and after-school hours were used to craft props and costumes for little actors. I made sure everyone had something special because I understood what it felt like to feel small on the stage. I used the emptiness that was left in me after my last performance at camp to push myself and make sure that other kids wouldn't feel that absence. And so, my journey did not end. One of my favorite quotes from a child TV show is, "The end is just the beginning." I think that saying is pretty act for what happened. Over the 3 years I've worked with the lower school productions, I've realized that even if you can't accomplish your plan A, plan B will always be there waiting in the wings for you. And so, as we step off the stage into the vast unknown, let us remember, creativity has no bounds. Whether you wield a brush, a pen, or the power of imagination, your voice matters. Your art, the symphony of your soul, will shape the world. To my fellow dreamers, kindred spirits, let us carry the torch of creativity. Let us paint our stories across the tapestry of life. And when the spotlight fades, remember that the stage will never be completely dark. Congratulations, class of 2024. Our journey has just begun.
Among the kernels of wisdom the years have taught me, I have realized that there is one thing in life that people hate more than AP physics. That thing is change. Perhaps it is in our biology, an instinct to react negatively to threats or shifts in the environment. There are obvious changes, going from lower to middle to upper school. And then there are more drastic surprises, such as having a pop quiz thrown at you, getting rejected from college, or worse, being accepted and having to confront 4 more years of schooling. The emotions that come with these commitments are terrifying, with the understanding that the choices we make in the present can affect the rest of our futures, but not for me. Change is a demon that I embrace. Change is something I have come to love and welcome with open arms. Some changes in my life include, but are not limited to, moving to Columbus from Cleveland when I was 3, my parents getting divorced, attending 3 different summer programs in Pennsylvania, Israel, and New York, and getting new tires on my car. It has been nice knowing that my wheel won't fly off when I start driving, and that I'm able to thrive in social environments. Maybe I'm okay with change because throughout all these unexpected events, there has been one constant in my life. That thing is CTA. 13 years I've spent at CTA, starting from the alphabet and the alphabet of kindergarten and ending with the AP-length synthesis essays, statistics spreadsheets, and Hebrew vocab quizzes of senior year. For 13 years, I walked into CTA to see the same friends, the same teachers, the same building, offices, and classrooms. I went to bed each night knowing that I would begin the same routine the very next day, for better or for worse. Yet I have learned to prepare for contingency. On Shabbatons, I pack 4 Shabbos outfits. You never know if people will spill juice on you twice in one day. At camp, I keep extra Band-Aids. What if everyone on the hike walks into a thorn bush or falls off a rock? You see, the change is the only constant. If we remain scared of change, we restrict ourselves from experiencing beauty, discovery, and growth. If we spend our entire lives wrapped in styrofoam, trying to stay away from the unknown, we will never experience the marvelous gifts that God gives to us every day. These curveballs seem daunting, but ultimately, they bring us to where we are and where we are meant to be. Change is an opportunity to test ourselves, both mentally and physically. It is what drives me to look towards my future, rather than dwelling on my past. The world has only one pace, and it is fast. Savor the rush when entering a new environment. Make social anxiety scared of you. As a senior, it dawns on me that the change I'm about to undergo is more drastic than any change so far, which is saying a lot. I have learned an important life lesson. Adapt or lose your mind. We can go about life worried about all the what-ifs, or we can accept the unknown with the understanding that change is not our enemy, but rather a thrilling experience full of opportunity. If we shake away our fear of change, we will be able to power through whatever challenge is thrown our way. God would not give me a challenge He knows I cannot handle. With that being said, I would like to thank my mom for being a guiding light throughout my life. No matter what change, you have been there to hold my hand and let go at the perfect time, allowing me to be my own person and grow at my own pace. Tati and Miriam, you are the prime example of teamwork makes the dream work. No matter how hard I fought back and resisted the change, you made the transitions to the new chapters of life as seamless as possible. And for that, I cannot thank you enough. To Benzi, Akiva, Tali, and Chaim, thank you for being a shoulder to cry on, a hand to hold, and an argument to be won. You four have been a joy to grow up with. To Yaakov Moshe, Nani, Rina, and Nava, thank you for inspiring this speech. With all the changes in my life, you four were not just a change, but a blessing. To my extended family in Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Israel, and Canada, without the constant support and love from all corners of the earth, I would not be where I am today. Thank you for the memories, and here's to many more. To my teachers and the staff at CTA, sorry for talking so much. Sorry for taking long walks during your class time. So thank you for answering my questions. Thank you for providing me with an environment of learning and love. Thank you for teaching me. May we all grow to embrace change and experience the simcha that comes from it. Thank you.
You know that scene in The Office when Dwight performs his own fire drill and the cast believes it's an actual fire? The entire cast believes their lives are at stake. Any sense of order collapses into chaos. It's widely believed to be the best cold open of the 9-year, 201-episode series, and with good reason. For me, the chaos brings to mind the story of my high school experience. In 9th grade, like Dwight, I calculated the precise protocols of fire safety. I planned out exactly how I would excel at school. I took the Dr. Park approach. Write literally everything my teacher wrote on the board, forming strong neural pathways. However, within moments of transcribing notes, my mind combusted into confusion, and immediately, comprehending the entire process of cell reproduction became a smoldering conflagration. I descended into panic as I realized I am not at all ready for such a drill. 10th grade, I escaped the smoke by scrapbooking for Mrs. Schramm in Algebra 2. Completing Mrs. Glitch's only 2 labs from the entire year, and derailing Mr. Guyman's class with requests for improv. By the end of the second quarter during midterms, I realized the door handle was hot. As the second semester began, so did digital literacy. As Michael Scott put it, it was everyone for themselves, while Miss Gilbert let us do what we had to do to survive. Just like Angela's cat, I was thrown into the air, excitedly yearning for the famous World War I simulation of Mr. Prey, only to crash through the ceiling as I discovered Mr. Prey, or P Money, will not be making a return. Similar to Kevin, I make the best out of this madness, but rather than smash and grab the vending machine, I smash and grab the easy A and ride through American history, relying on Google Snake to push me through the boredom. 205 was my high score, second only to Ruby Emery's 208. With the parade of changes in the principal's office, from my mother to Mr. Staffolino to Mrs. Eisenberg, and finally Mrs. Gresham, it all just felt like the fire's shooting at us. Senior year approached, and like Jim, I said to myself, I'm not dying like this. I used a copy machine as a battering ram to get through senior year, only to get stymied by the locked door of senioritis. I approached my AP exams only to have a heart attack as I realized I've forgotten everything I've ever learned in calculus. Finally, the drill is over, and I just put on a brave CPR dummy's face and stopped worrying about my scores.
This has been a test of our emergency preparedness. It was not real, only a simulation.
What awaits us, which is the real thing, we have to be prepared to plunge through the real fire with togetherness, innovation, and yes, humor. Just like Scranton, no matter how boring, dry, or mundane CTA was, I owe my life to this old, plain building. Every canon event in my life has led back to this place. This is where I had my bar mitzvah. my first paying job. It's where I found out my dad had fallen off a ladder and broken his back. But CTA is also where I let that sadness and stress escape. I felt horrible. I had no idea if he would ever walk again. I was sitting alone in the library, watching Rhett and Link and feeling sorry for myself. Until I heard a voice of outrage behind me. I hate statistics! I'm going to watch Good Mythical Morning with Roni, Ariana shouted. It was nice to just have someone there next to me, joking around and watching Rhett and Link taste every Reese's product ever made. Thank you, Ariana, for being the stress relief to my Stanley Batson. Thank you, Tweed Shaken, for being my crew grad. Definitely not the average Jewish high school student, but on a casual Friday, you are there to let things blow over with a game of Scrabble. Thank you for Hodiah, for being our Erin Hannon. You joined our class late, but never once did you show negativity. You were always positive. Thank you, M, for being the class's Oscar Martinez. No matter how good our ideas were, we needed someone to crunch the numbers and edit a video or make a flyer. Thank you, Aria, for being the Dwight Schrute to my gym helper. We started out pretty rough, especially in 7th grade secret class, but in the end, we finished with a great friendship. Thank you, Lila and Liel, for being Pete and Clark. You two were always good friends, but everyone assumed you were best friends, just because of the similarities of your name. Thank you, Esty, for being our class's Kelly Kapoor. You talk a lot. But I can't imagine our class without you. Thank you, Avi, for being the Daryl Filter, always there to play video games and chill. Thank you, Bina, for being the Pam Beasley to my Michael Scott. No matter what joke I could say to make you cringe, you always show support. And finally, thank you, Ima and Abba, for being my corporate. We are always tight, no matter how hard you crack the whip. And thank you, CTA, for being my Dunder Mifflin.
People who know me will tell you that I'm a picky person. It doesn't just mean that I refuse to eat anything with leafy greens. There are a few foods I eat. But the secret is that I'm picky about things that I genuinely enjoy. That leaves a lot of room for things I dislike, although some stray into the territory of pet peeves. For example, I cannot stand being behind a slow walker, or doing homework, or anything after school that doesn't involve me lying on my bed or playing video games with friends. Loud people are a nuisance. Paying attention for all of the Gemara class is right up there in difficulty with the riddle of the Sphinx. I believe anything in addition to dough, sauce, and cheese on pizza is criminal. People talking during davening can frustrate one right off the dare. I'm positive that public speaking is a form of punishment, but the bane of my existence, okay, maybe a bane of my existence, is writing, especially speeches. So I'll keep this short and maybe sweet. In essence, the basics of graduation speeches are getting a couple chuckles from the crowd and thank yous. Originally, I was only going to hit those two requirements, but then when I complained to Mr. Guinan that I didn't know what to write about, he explained to me that graduation speeches should show growth. I don't feel like I grew much over high school. I still feel like the person I was 4 years ago. Yeah, I considered it. I joined CTA in 9th grade because there were no Jewish boy high schools in Cincinnati. On the first day of school, I thought I had to make an impression on my new classmates. Apparently, making a good first impression had a different meaning to me back then because I proceeded to call M brain dead in social studies before lunch. They always remind me about it, even while writing the speech. And get this, they didn't even know I was writing about it. So yeah, I guess I grew. I mean, now I stand at a towering 5'7". In all seriousness, I have definitely grown as a person. I love my classmates and always treat them with respect. And if any of them tell you otherwise, they're brain dead. Now for the thank yous. I'd love to, of course, thank Rabbi Dranoff for holding this amazing school together, and to those teachers who helped me, Mrs. Brodsky, for always answering all my questions in physics, because even though it was a year ago, I'm worried it took a year off her life. Mrs. Jones, thank you for putting up with my needless arguing about calculus and whether an area is negative or not, my mountain of questions about integrals. Rabbi Zuckerman, thank you for not waking me up the majority of the times while I fell asleep in class. It means a lot. Morentina, Thank you for dealing with me, like in general, for never giving up on me. Ms. Reed, you're welcome for being the best behaved student in your class. Thank you to the Delmans, the Burnswacks, and the Harrows for hosting me almost every Friday night and welcoming me into this community, allowing me to make the best memories possible. Mr. and Mrs. Zilla, I don't know how I can ever thank you enough for opening your home, your pantry, and your fridge to me for the past 3 years. Gabriella, thank you for being the little sibling I never had. And as to your question of whether or not you will be my speech, I'm still thinking about it. Ariel, thank you for being my third older sibling and the only one who plays their music out loud and sings along with it. However, as siblings go, there's a lot to be said about my biological ones as well. Joseph, I know I was an annoying little brother, and I apologize, but thank you for not bullying me these days and for sharing my interests so I can always send you the new tech item I discovered. Shayna, you didn't bully me, so that's pretty cool. Thanks for the loft in your room, by the way. But really, thanks for always trying to check in on me, even though I never feel like talking. Bubby and Zadie, I'm so grateful for your endless support and love in those late night conversations on Friday night. Last, and certainly not least, I'd like to thank my parents for everything, and I mean everything that they do for me, even though they are usually over 100 miles away. From the countless hours you have driven to bring me back and forth from Columbus, to renting the apartment I stayed in all of freshman year, for the sacrifice you made to send me away for 3 years, giving up precious time with me, and missing out on watching me grow and mature. You gave up many a Shabbos meal, and I want you to know that even though I don't normally show it, it means the world to me. I love you both, Google+. After the thank yous, I realized that my speech has become long and sweet. I have had so many amazing people in my life that have helped me along that it couldn't remain short. I couldn't remain picky on who I chose. And as far as schools go, there's not to ask for a better one to spend what feels like half my life in. So the CTA and you, good night.
With all anticipated events, there's the countdown. The days left on the calendar, the hours, the minutes, the seconds. Think New Year's Eve in Times Square, rocket launches, Sports Center top 10. But counting down is not merely for dramatic effect. Counting down is a way of living in the moment, reflecting back on the dwindling time you had, looking back on your year gone by, looking back on the work put in before launch, looking back on the anticipation and reflecting on the school year before it comes to an end. So now it is time for the final countdown for the class of 2024. 10. The 10 of you behind me, sitting there in your caps and gowns, my fellow classmates and graduates, we have arrived. 9 regional NCSY Shabbatones. Since COVID, the Shabbatones have had a special feeling like no other. Every semester, 200 Jewish teens smile, from Columbus, Detroit, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh, with some from completely different backgrounds. We all join together as one huge family and accept one another while we spend the weekends away from our original family. I just passed the torch, but in my heart, I will forever be a member of the amazing regional board of 2024. 8. I ate a lot of Mrs. Tannenbaum's potatoes. Of course, along with fish sticks came Mrs. T's famous baked potatoes, which everyone knows how much I love. Every week, she would set aside the biggest potato in the batch just for me. Even a small, kind gesture involving a plain baked potato can mean the world. Thank you, Mrs. T. 7 naps taken a week by me on the beloved couch in the library. In 2022, CTA undertook a renovation of the library, but they actually renovated our lives by installing the couch and ottoman. At the end of every day, after working hard in class for 9 whole periods, I would make my way to the library to take a well-deserved nap, one that I have awaited since 7:30 in the morning when I woke up. I'm not a morning person. Which brings me to 6, the number of times I hit snooze every morning, causing me to be late. Don't worry, I was still on time for breakfast. and the rush to finish homework, study for that day's quiz, or even just to take a moment to myself before the hustle and bustle of classes for that day. 5. The Monday morning countdown to Shabbat, a reprieve to reflect on what matters most. After a busy week of school, there is nothing better than unplugging. We say the Havdalah prayer, welcoming the week. We light the candle and look at our fingernails in the light of the flame. We see not only how much they've grown over the week, but how much we've grown. It is a time to reflect on what we've learned, gained, accomplished throughout our past week. 4. 4 years ago, the pandemic that changed our lives. The year we hit pause. The year we finished on Zoom and read our freshman speeches on TV. Then came the blue plastic dividers, the social distancing, the masks, the lunch in the gym. It was a time of quarantine and chaos, but also a time that made me appreciate being at school with my friends and teachers. 3. 3 sports I played throughout my time at CTA. Volleyball in the fall, basketball in the winter, and softball in the spring. 3 things that I had to look forward to. Specifically, basketball has always been a sport that I took pride in, and so did my sister Fani. While I was not able to play on her team, I figured by inheriting her number and wearing her jersey, I would live up to her great career on the court. Basketball is not only about how many points you can score, how many steals you can get, or talking back to Eddie when he screams at you after making one simple and innocent mistake. It's about working together. It's a team sport, and success will come only if you collaborate. 2. 2002, the year that the first Wolfson, my oldest brother David, stepped foot at this school as a kindergartner. 22 years later, here I am, standing on this stage, wearing this cap and gown. I'm ending the long line of Wolfsons that have attended. Looking back, I'm amazed to think about all the memories that each of us have made here. We all walked the same hallway, ate in the same cafeteria, played in the same gym, and graduated on the same stage. CTA will always occupy a special place in our hearts, in the sense that it shaped all 4 of us, the whole growing Wolfson family. 1. Amazing, unique, incredible story that only I have lived, that is told by this single, final, solitary 1 diploma. The end is here. There are no more summer assignments, no more bathroom TikToks, no more watching wiffle ball in the gym during lunch, no more first days. The ball has dropped. I know I wouldn't have been able to make it to this stage receiving this diploma without the help of so many. It's hard to say goodbye. It's not easy to let go, but I know that this isn't a goodbye. It's a see you later. Blast off.
Shalom. As many of you know, I was born in Israel. You may not know that I was born on Hanukkah, a younger sister to 6 older siblings. On this holiday, we say Hallel, which means meaningful praise every day. And we give thanks for the miracle of Hanukkah. And so my parents gave me the name Hodaya, which means to thank God. Maybe that is why I want to take this opportunity at my graduation to show all my thanks for the 2 years I've been at CTA. Tonight, according to the Hebrew calendar, it is Kafchet B'Iyar, the big celebration of the Jerusalem Day. On this day, 57 years ago, Jerusalem was liberated after a big threat for the existence of the Jewish people in Israel. Every year, on this special day, many teenagers from all the state of Israel and the diaspora dance with flags in the Jerusalem Day Parade to the Kotel HaMa'aravi. 2 years ago, I joined this parade, carrying a lot of joy in my heart, as well as a camera. I photographed significant and unforgettable moments in Jerusalem. I am grateful for the privilege of having participated in this special event, and it is my wish that you will be able to have a meaningful experience in Yerushalayim. L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim habnuya. As you probably know, both of my parents are Morim Shlichim at CTA. Moving to a new country is not always easy, but I was impressed by the serious and deep connection the CTA school community has with Israel. Last year, the CTA school joined the Israeli parade in Manhattan. for the great investment in planning and carrying out this significant experience for me. I want to say thank you. Also this year, after war broke out in Israel, our school went to the Israel rally in Washington, D.C. This event was organized in a short time and required a lot of effort. For the privilege to be part of it and to have the pleasure of photographing it, I want to say thank you. Two of my brothers who fought in Gaza, I want to say I am worried for you, and I miss you very much. But I'm also proud of you. Here at school, I felt that I'm not alone, because all of you in Columbus prayed with them, contributed, and were firm partners in the right of the State of Israel to fight for its existence. And for all of that, I want to say thank you. CTA for me is also a family from other aspects as well. Academically, the school supported and gave me the help that I needed in these 2 years. More than that, I was exposed to the uniqueness of American society, history, culture, literature, and views. For example, one of the American values that I learned here is that hard work and achievements empower the individual. For all of that, I want to say thank you. Additionally, I really enjoyed being a partner in the school's various sports teams, including this year's amazing girls volleyball team. And I want to say thank you for that as well. I would like to continue thanking many more people here in the school community who did everything to make me happy. To the head of school, Rabbi Reinhardt, principals, teachers, specialists, and my friends. To all of you, I want to say just one word. Toda.
Yes, you are right. This is the time for me to make this. Anyway, picture this. You're standing in front of your peers, your family, the family of your peers, and the examiners behind the judge's table. You've just finished a kata, a sequence of choreographed movements you've been practicing for months. Only you were unsure of the move, and you let it show. You tried to cover it up, and it might have worked for the audience, but not for the examiners. You rack your brain, trying to remember if you did it right. But the only outcomes you see are dark and empty. Your confidence is gone, your spirits are low, but nothing happens. The judges bestow their approval, you pass. One of the examiners compliments your flowy interpretation of a move that was made to cover up your mistake. You're confused. Why didn't they notice your massive failure within the kata? You question the nature of your mistake and if you even made one at all. Now, many of you know me as Speed Chicken, the CTA student, the National Merit Scholar, the shofar blower, the bass scaler, the black belt, Sensei Speed. I have been a student of martial arts for the same amount of time that I've been at CTA, and as some of you may have rightly predicted, that's what I'm going to talk about. Starting karate and CTA, well, on that point, at 5 years old was very difficult. I mean, at first glance, the two in their lessons, their teachings, are as far apart from each other as possible. One was telling me to sit down, listen. The other was telling me to converse with my friends and to goof off. One was teaching me how to hit my peers, the other telling me to keep my hands to myself. One telling me to be tranquil, and the other brewing a fighting spirit within. The two influences clashed within me. What was I to do? To whom should I listen? Which one was right? The answers to these questions eluded me for years, but standing here now, after passing my 3rd degree black belt test and graduating from high school, I think I'm starting to grasp at answers. At first, in karate, one is taught not to question the sensei. Whatever the master says is a fact. So too in middle school Gemara. In the 7th and 8th grade, Rabbi Savage taught us the way, and we understood it as fact. As I climbed the ranks from middle school to high school, and the colored belts to the black ones, classes stopped, and discussions began. In both high school Gemara and higher ranking karate, you partner off to interpret the moves of a kata, or the words of the Gemara, individually, to build upon the foundation you established through blind acceptance. To learn to think for yourself and to justify why you think that specific move goes in that specific direction, in that specific place in the kata. This is what I believe happened at my test. Instead of allowing myself to be torn apart by the failure of forgetting the move, I improvised what my subconscious thought to be a solid addition. I used to want to move forward quickly as I could. Dispatch the lesson, memorize the answers, move on. This is a way to success in school, but not so much in life. You can learn all of the moves in a kata, but if you don't know why they're done, you will never be able to perform it to its full potential. You cannot be confident in something you do not fully internalize. A lesson I have learned both in Gemara and karate, and a lesson that has stuck with me and will A lesson that has stuck with me and will stick with me for the rest of my life. Now, I ask once more, which is right? Which is good? Which path am I to follow? That of a martial artist or that of an Orthodox Jew? The truth is, they complement each other. The lessons I learned at karate and at CTA formed one true set of values, each making up where the other falls behind. Just because things seem to clash on the surface does not mean they cannot coexist. Respect for your teacher, self-control, self-discipline, conversation, all skills developed through both of my schools. So don't give up a school of thought just because it clashes with another you hold dear. Learn enough of each that they can coexist. Find the connection between the things in your life. It took hard work to make connections in my life, and there was failure. I was confused for a time, but with help from my teachers, these failures did not break me. Rather, I was able to learn from them, to grow, to create my own set of values that I hold with the best of both worlds that I live in. I have two sets of values that I follow, but no more stress than anyone else. Opposites attract. With people, this is obvious. With magnets, even more so. But with values and lessons, there's a wall hiding this attraction between schools. It is up to the student, with help from their teachers, to, as President Reagan said, tear down that wall and allow two opposites to coexist. This is difficult, however, because everyone wants the answer, the benefit, but few are willing to be the one who fails so somebody else can succeed. So I would like to thank those who have helped me succeed, sometimes at a cost to themselves. First and foremost, my parents. Thank you for supporting me in all of my endeavors and allowing me a life where I can focus on school and karate. Next, my instructor, Reggie Kelly. Thank you for putting up with me as a child and as a teenager. My teachers and rabbis, thank you for teaching me about Judaism and about myself. My friends, thank you for always raising my spirits and never forcing me to change myself to fit in. My siblings, thank you for letting me sleep in on days that I want to and not driving me insane all the time, only sometimes. Thank you for teaching me the discipline of karate and the love of a parent, the logic of Gemara and the acceptance of a friend, the care of a rabbi and the strictness of a teacher, the empathy of a friend and the self-control of a martial artist. Thank you all. Good night.
Very inspired by all of you. I would like to say a few words to the graduates before we hand out diplomas, and you guys are all welcome to listen in as well. So, class of 2024, I
I'm going to make some of you do a little bit of math here, but exactly 20 years ago, almost to the day, I sat right here on this very stage with my graduating class of 2004. We had just given our heartfelt speeches that Mr. Gagnon helped us refine, and we waited to be called up to get our diplomas and thought about what would come next, because like a lot of you, I and many of my classmates had been at CTA since kindergarten, and for the very first time, we're now going to be going our separate ways. Some of us went on to spend a year in Israel, some went straight to college. Some of my classmates knew exactly what they wanted to do career-wise when they graduated, and some of us figured it out along the way. Some made Aliyah, moved to Israel, some settled in various cities across the US, and actually half of us either stayed in Columbus or moved back here to start our adult lives. Fun fact, a quarter of my graduating class of 2004 are now CTA parents. From sitting right where you are 20 years ago, my classmates and I set off on our own unique paths that took us where we are today. And you're probably sitting here thinking, I have no idea where I'm going to be in 20 years, and that's okay. My wish for you is that over your time at CTA, you have developed a deep curiosity, a love of learning, a strong Jewish identity you'll take with you wherever you go, and a true sense of self that you can make the decisions that are right for you, so that you are starting your own unique path. And of course, I hope that in 20 years, at least some of you are CTA parents. So with that, I will call up Rabbi Dragnoff to help hand out the diplomas.
Liel Chaikin. Tzvi Chaikin Scherer. We did practice that. Sharon Abraham Delman. Ariana Eskin. Lila Gisser. Arya Abraham Chaim Goldstein.
Give me that thing.
Avi Martinsky. Bina Newman. Hodaya Schechter. Amelia Victoria Fubini Wolf. Esther Wolfson.
Hi everyone, good to see you. My name is Steve Guinan, and I'm here for the cum laude induction part of the program. Great to see so many faces. Thank you, Mrs. Grasham, for that memory. As president of the CTA chapter of the Cum Laude Society, I am proud to stand here tonight to induct from the class of 2024, the 16th group of members from the CTA chapter of the Cum Laude Society. CTA prides itself as one of the 382 chapters worldwide. Founded in 1906 to recognize academic achievement in secondary schools, the Cum Laude Society seeks to promote learning and sound scholarship. This society is a fellowship of scholars whose purpose is to recognize excellence in academic work. It is our hope that tonight's inductees will accept the honor of membership in the society as a responsibility to make a contribution to the ongoing search for greater understanding of humanity and society. The motto of the society is excellence, justice, honor. Excellence refers to the moral sense and not limited to the idea of superiority in scholarship. Justice means to include the concept of what is suitable and appropriate, and honor, the concept of dignity and truth. If you look in the back of your programs, you can see the list of CTA's illustrious inductees throughout the years. This year, we are proud to induct to the Columbus Torah Academy chapter of the Cum Laude Society, Zvi Chaikin and Bina Newman. By the authority of the society duly granted, we now present to you these certificates of membership and pins. We would like both of you to step forward and receive this honor.
Mazel tov. I think that it's clear the essence of our graduates is they're family and they're really at home here at CTA. And I have to say, I don't remember the last time, I think I cried multiple times this evening. Really just so moved by how authentic and raw the emotions and insights that were shared this evening. 8 out of 11 of our students are graduates. have spent their entire academic lives here. They're 8 from K to 12. And the 3 that joined along the journey, you can see how seamlessly they blended into the grade. I would like to give a special shout out for 3 of the families. Their youngest is of the K-12. Their youngest is graduating, and their parents are now formally alumni parents. I'd like to give a special shout out to Chaim and Sylvia Wolfson, as noted in Este's remarks. They've been parents at CTA since 2002. Todd and Louisa Delman, starting with the Kala Shiley in 2007. It's been 17 years. Fortunately for us, although Louisa will be formally no longer a current parent, but part of the family as a member of our staff. And Dina Goldstein with Ari graduated. He started in 2011 with 13 years. Mazel tov to you as well. The mission of our school, the purpose to why we exist, is to develop our students to educated, contributing, active, aware members of contemporary American and Jewish societies. Our mission and purpose is clear: to prepare our students for the rest of their lives. Prepare them for the next phase of their education, whether it's yeshiva, seminary, college, the jobs that they're ultimately going to have, the relationships they're going to form. And I think we're going to be honest with ourselves. What has transpired in the United States over the last 8 months, that mission, the task, seems like it maybe got a little bit harder. And I worry often about making sure we're preparing our students for the world, and knowing what's facing our students today makes things seem a little darker. But I want to be clear: I believe in our students, I believe in Jewish school education, and I'm confident our students are going to light up the world, and they're going to continue to do that for many years to come. I'd like to share with you part of an article that I read in the Jewish Action magazine, which was published by the OU. The article was written by a student named Gideon Askowitz, who's a graduate of SAR High School in the Bronx, who happens to also be the team that recently won the baseball tournament, the CBI tournament. Gideon studied for a year in Tel Aviv and is currently a student in Macaulay Honors College at Hunter College. I'm inspired more by his perspective than even his actions, although his actions truly are remarkable as well. And I'd like to share a little bit from his writings. He starts, "I am a Jew." It's funny how that simple phrase perfectly summarizes how many of us students have felt these past few months. As of this writing in December, we are struggling to find concrete ways to contend with the growing anti-Semitism on campus. Some of us think, I'm not Ben Shapiro, so no one will hear my epic monologue. My actions have no power to sway the national conversation around anti-Semitism. I believe this thought process is mistaken, and to demonstrate why, I'll share my story. And begins his article sharing how before October 7th, he was asked and requested by one of the faculty of Hunter. They suggested he should apply for a fellowship that's school-wide, CUNY-wide. And he went ahead, he interviewed, he did well. But through the conversation of the interview, it became clear that he can't participate in some of the events because they take place on Shabbos. And he was subsequently told, because of the fact that he keeps Shabbos, he will not be able to participate. And he shifted gears to advocacy. He lobbied, he touched base with the ADL and others. And ultimately was successful in changing the policies to where CUNY no longer has these events on Shabbos, and he got the fellowship. And he writes about other additional avenues of advocacy as well. But then I want to pick up shortly after October 7th. The very next day in Hunter, I felt like I had stepped into an alternate reality. I knew that the Hunter Palestinian Student Alliance and other similar groups were planning a large protest that day. But it felt like it came out of nowhere. I arrived at Hunter after spending my morning uptown at Yeshiva University learning, so I was dressed like a yeshiva guy, kippah, tzitzis, button-down shirt. I could feel students' eyes on me as I walked through the hallways. The school felt eerily calm. After class ended, realizing something was going to happen, I offered to walk a Jewish student to her next class. Tension was thick. We stepped into the hallway and immediately noticed keffiyehs everywhere. Anti-Israel signs of students clustered by the windows looking down at the swelling protests, which could be heard from inside the building. My heart was in my throat. As I dropped my fellow Jewish student off at her class, I could still hear the calls to globalize the Intifada. I sat down in my next class as the professor started her lecture, but I could not pay attention. I could still hear the chants from our mostly soundproof classroom. The anger was building inside me, and suddenly I thought of my pregnant great-grandmother who fled Germany after a Nazi officer told her she could not sit on the park bench because the sun should not shine on a Jew. I thought to myself, how could I tell my grandchildren that while my classmates called for their death, I attended a class on economics? And Gideon describes how from class, he got up in the middle of class, he grabbed an Israeli flag, went outside, and he was told he can't stand near the pro-Palestinian protest, he has to go across the street. And he found himself by himself, the only person. And in fact, he describes how a TA at the school grabbed the Israeli flag out of his hand. But over time, more people joined him. And additional protests where more and more people followed him to a point where the media kind of picked him up. They followed him. He was giving multiple interviews, sharing his advocacy and passion for the Jewish people in Israel. And he concludes in his article, while I always wanted to be involved in media and politics, I had not anticipated that anti-Semitism on my campus would be the impetus, or that I would be involved in politics so soon. I thought I would get involved in those areas after I had a career as a constitutional litigator. I wanted to establish myself before venturing out into the public eye. That is clearly no longer possible. My parents and I had a couple of frank discussions about what the consequences of speaking out would mean for my future. I may no longer be able to attend the best law schools, or be accepted to prestigious scholarships. I may be denied an interview at a firm because of my advocacy. But when I'm older, I'll be able to answer my grandchildren when they ask me, what did I do when the people in our country called for their blood? I have no regrets. What I found incredibly powerful was his perspective, his drive. What drove him to do this was his strong identity to be a Jew. Was his Jewish education that instilled that fire in him, that in the face of hatred he was going to shine forward, practice Judaism, advocate, and be strong. I'd like to share a thought. Next week, we're going to be celebrating the holiday of Shavuot. Shavuot is the holiday where we celebrate receiving the Torah. But a famous question that's asked, it seems like an odd name. If the holiday, the essence of the holiday is Kabbalah Torah, is to receive the Torah, why call it Shavuot, weeks? How does it capture the essence of receiving the Torah? So some of the famous answers are, it's emphasizing the weeks are the weeks of preparation to getting the Torah. So we call it the preparation, we call it the weeks in reference to the idea that we're preparing for the Torah. But it's still a little odd, because if the whole essence is the Torah, then call it the Torah, why waste time referring to it as the preparation for the Torah? You find a similar theme. The Talmud says, Gedola Shimusha Shel Torah Yoter Mimuda. Serving Torah is greater than learning Torah. The same idea. We're putting this emphasis on serving the Torah as opposed to the Torah itself. The whole value is the Torah that just cut to the chase. I'd like to share a thought from Rav Kook. Rav Kook says the goal of learning Torah is to elevate a person. The more one has reverence for the Torah, the more impact it ultimately makes on us. The idea is, when you have that preparation and you take it serious, that will make the Torah experience more impactful. The weeks really defines the essence of our value system, our core values, and what we're trying to do, which is to receive the Torah. And I think in many ways, that's what the 13 years that CTA has done, and what Jewish education is doing. It is preparing our students for the rest of their lives to embrace the world, to embrace American society, to make sure it's guiding them into those core values of Judaism. And it really takes in really the beauty of what we've heard this evening, this manifestation of really an incredible education. I'd like to take a moment to really acknowledge our faculty and staff here for really providing such an incredible We know it takes a village to raise a child, And this school, as a family, as a community, everyone is all in, and that's what's always so inspiring. My bracha to our students is take everything you've learned and grabbed in these walls, your home, which will always be your home, you'll always be welcome back. And I'm with Ms. Gratian on the recruiting. Your children are definitely welcome to our school. Please speak to Mrs. Herzagi in 15, 20 years. But more importantly, to take those values, the core values, always be proud to be Jewish. Never allow those who are telling us to not, to stay silent. Stay strong, be proud, Mazel tov.